Well, welcome everyone. We're going to start. My name is Maritza. I am the Vice Mayor of the City of Deltona. The mayor would have loved to be here. Unfortunately, she lost her mom today, so yes. And so we do this every year here at the City of Deltona. We learn a lot from these seminars. And of course, you know, living in Florida, we are very familiar with hurricanes and tornadoes, and sounds like they started a little bit too early this year for us, right? Some of our neighborhood cities have already gotten hit with these tornadoes. So also I was asked also to mention to keep in prayer. I don't know why you give me this. This makes me sad, Lee. To keep in prayer Uvalde, Texas, where 14 children got killed and a teacher. So let's keep them in prayer as well. So anyway, we have really good speakers today. We have our own, we have our own meteorologist. We own him. The City of Deltona owns him. He comes here. Yes, we do. He comes here every year to do our events. So we already claimed him. So without further ado, first of all, did everybody fill out a ticket? We are going to be raffling off the weather radios, and I'm telling you, if you don't have one, these are lifesavers. I mean, you don't even know they're in your house until something is coming close to you. Then you will know there's something coming. So we're going to be raffling off the weather radios. There is cards in the back also in the front. If you have questions, you can put your questions in that card and just drop them off in the bowl, and then we'll ask the questions for you. So I am going to call Brian Carrick. He is the Chief Meteorologist for Channel 13, Hurricanes and Central Florida. And like I said, he comes every year, and we do appreciate him. And he also brought in some of your stuff.
Yeah, some glasses, some sunglasses, and hurricane guides for you.
Okay, so here we got.
All right, thank you. And don't let me forget, thank you very much. It's nice to be back in person. We were talking three or 4 years ago when we were together the last time, so it's really good to be back in person. A couple years ago, doing it via video was it was fun with Lee and Rocco, but it's not as fun actually physically being in person and seeing you and being able to answer your questions. So very excited. Hopefully you come up with some questions as well. Before I am done tonight, I do want to take a selfie. I'll do that at the end, just so that we can give you all a shout out on Spectrum News 13. But I am here to discuss hurricanes in Central Florida. And our motto at Spectrum News 13 is don't be scared, be prepared. An easy way for you to just go into the season. If you're prepared, why do you need to be scared? It's going to be just fine. You're not scrambling to get your supplies, and you're ready to go for the season. And we're going to walk you through it. And one of the things we pride ourselves on is doing it in a calm manner. We do it with the no hype approach. We don't want to be pushing a panic button and scaring you. If something is out in the middle of the Atlantic and is not threatening us, we're not going to put a lot of emphasis on it. If we've got something close to us, obviously we're going to turn up the volume just a little bit, but we're not going to be giving you a scare tactic and trying to get you to watch. It's not the goal. We want you to watch, but we want you to watch comfortably from your home so that you're ready to go through storms. This is my team. I'm the Chief Meteorologist. I have been with Spectrum News 13 for over 7 years now, a meteorologist for over 27 years. And just a couple quick self-promotions here for the team because they are a wonderful bunch. Chris Gilson is our weekend morning meteorologist. He also works during the day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Mallory is on at night, so when you go home, Mallory will be on. She's on through the overnight hours. Rob Eicher in the back, he is actually one of our contract meteorologists who comes in. He used to work at Spectrum News 13 a number of years ago. He'll come in and give us a hand when we're shorthanded. David Hecker behind me is our weekend night meteorologist. He also works during the day on Thursdays and Fridays. And you may wake up with Maureen McCann in the morning as she is our morning meteorologist. Not pictured, and we're very excited to introduce last fall, Amy Sweezey from WESH is now part of our team. She's a contract meteorologist. You'll see her occasionally coming in. She doesn't want to be full-time in broadcast, but she is working with our team and is very excited to be part of our team as well. So you'll see her occasionally. And for those of you who have been in this market a long time, Amy's a wonderful person. She and I have been really good friends for over 20 years, so I'm excited to actually be able to steal her from Wesh. Klystron 13 is a newer radar. It's a couple years old now, but it's one of the newer ones in town. And it's located over in Cocoa, which is close to the coast. One of the reasons we put our tower close to the coast is because we want to make sure we're scanning out over the Atlantic, and we can even get down to the Florida Straits with Klystron 13. But we also have a radar of our sister station in Tampa, Klystron 9. It is on the coast in Pinellas County, and so it's scanning the Gulf. And what we're doing is we're able to give a much broader range of scan when it comes to radar. We are so excited to introduce you to the world's most powerful television radar, Klystron 13. Just down the road here in West Cocoa, what looks like a golf ball on a tee is the best technology you're going to find anywhere. Let's go take a look. So here's our tower. On top of the tower itself, something we call a radome. In the radome, we actually have a dish that is scanning the horizon at 360 degrees. It's able to go out approximately 300 miles from where we're located. Gives us a great view of not only the state of Florida, but down into the Bahamas, giving you an earlier heads up on tropical activity and fronts that are coming in our direction. Now, the dome itself is actually able to shed rain at 10 times more than a typical radome would. When it comes to the 3 or 4 inch rainfall rates per hour, that is shedding that rainfall, so we're able to see through the rain and give you a clearer view of the storm itself. So welcome inside to our data and equipment center, and obviously here it's very loud. It's because we have a lot of high-end technology running all at the same time, not to mention the air conditioning unit that you really need to keep all of this equipment cooled 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is actually a raw look at Klystron 13, what we're able to see behind the scenes. What this does for us is it not only alerts us to anything that may have gone wrong, say a power outage here at the site, but it also allows us to change the elevation at which the radar is scanning the horizon. It gives us a look at storms that are farther out, storms that are closer. In any case, it gives us a better look at the storms, giving you more of a heads up. So when we take a sector scan of the storm itself, I'm able to grab, say, a 45-degree angle. What that does for us is it allows us to pick out the worst part of the storm, giving you more of a heads up when nasty weather is coming in our direction. So we've taken a look at Klystron 13 in the raw, but the secret sauce is actually in this cabinet right here. We can't open up this cabinet because Klystron 13 is working very hard right now. It's a linear beam vacuum tube, but let's put it this way. It is the most robust television radar in the world, working hard for you. But the weather experts at Spectrum News 13, the nation's only dual certified team of meteorologists, actually trained to use Klystron 13 to keep you ahead of the storm. I'm Brian Carrick for Spectrum News 13. I did wear my tropical storm socks tonight and my radar shoes. So you're wondering why the shoes are so colorful. I did not move the bar to today's date, but hurricane season starts next Wednesday, June 1st. It runs through November 30th. For the past 7 years, though, we've had storms that have developed in the month of May. And I tell you, there's something that's trying to spin up near us next week, which would put us close to that June 1st date. It's still a long way out. I'm not concerned about it. I'm just watching it because there was also supposed to be something over us a couple days ago, and that never did come to fruition. So we're always watching it. It doesn't matter what time of the year because you can get the storms outside of the season. But the peak of the season is actually September 10th. And September 10th is just statistically when we see the most storms because the ocean has warmed up. It's typically going to be above 82 degrees. You need that high-octane fuel to really fuel those storms. And then we start seeing things trail off as the systems that come across the Atlantic Ocean have a long way to go, and they run into cold fronts when it comes to October and November. They typically tend to kind of help steer that tropical activity away from us. On average, we see about 14 named storms. They just updated this last year. Typically see about 14 named storms, 7 hurricanes, and usually on average 3 major hurricanes, which is a category 3 or greater. And this year, the forecasts are calling for another above average season. It's been above average for years, but it only takes one storm to be a busy season. And that's why we're here, and we're preparing you just in case something does decide to come in our direction. In June, if we were to see a storm kick up, we'd be watching typically out toward the Gulf of Mexico. Things start warming up a little bit more out there as well. And I tell you, sea surface temperatures in the Gulf right now are already approaching bathwater in some spots. So these tracks typically start developing. Maybe some late season fronts that come down near us kind of deflect and steer things over us. This is typically where we would be looking in the month of June when it comes to tropical activity. So what is it we need? I mentioned that we need warm ocean water. Over 82 degrees is really the ideal temperature of the sea that we need. A pre-existing disturbance, we need some sort of a storm system. Area of low pressure is known as a disturbance. We need that to actually be able to generate the atmosphere in producing what could become a tropical system. Ample amounts of moisture. We're a peninsula. You've stepped outside, you know, that air you can wear. It's what I like to refer to it as when you step out and that air just grabs onto you and won't let go. That's what we're like now for the next several months. If you're new to the area, we're into our rainy season pretty much. It runs from late May through mid-October. We get daily storms as the sea breezes roll inland, but we also have all that moisture in the atmosphere. And low wind shear. And the way to describe that, I tell kids when I go to school talks, is you're going up through the atmosphere on a staircase. The wind is coming at you at different directions as you go up the stairs and at different wind speeds. So a change in wind speed and a change of wind direction as you go up through the atmosphere. That's what we need. Low shear to actually kick out a tropical storm. So this year, looks like we have the ingredients to start the season. We just need to get some of these disturbances, and hopefully we'll get through an entire season without having to worry about it here in Florida. Here's the list. You see your name on that list? Starts with Alex. Alex is the first one. Go all the way up to Vince and Whitney. If we were to go beyond this list, what we used to have was the Greek alphabet. Well, then they realized that we were getting into the Greek alphabet. If a storm is retired out of the Greek alphabet, you can't just bring in a new name or a new Greek alphabet. So they've gone to a supplemental name list, and that will be used every year. These names change out every 6 years, and they alternate between male and female. Next year, it will start with a female name and go female, male, female, male. They try and mix not only some of the English names, but also some of the Hispanic names. And again, this list is missing some letters because you really don't have too many when you get up to X or Y or Z. So those are the names that are missing. Okay, so October 10th, 2018. This is a satellite of Hurricane Michael making landfall at Mexico Beach. Remember this one? Yeah, this was devastating. Michael is one of the names that you'll never see used in a hurricane list again. Katrina, you'll never see in a list. Andrew, you'll never see in a list. And now Michael is a name you'll never see put back on the hurricane list. And let me put that back up there really quickly, at least 74 people were killed in Mexico Beach alone, in that panhandle. $25.1 billion in damage from Central America all the way up to the panhandle. This is why you will not ever see this name again. Preparing, we were already sending power crews. They were coming in from around the nation. You see the upper left. These are based at one of the raceways. People that, are just out there and they're getting stir crazy and anxious and scared. Calm down, Michael. Mexico Beach is a family town. Sandbagging, and that's what people do. The run on groceries and the lines. This is why we say prepare now. Each time you go to the store, pick up some canned goods, pick up some water, get yourself prepared, because a couple things are going to happen. When we get a storm coming, see those lines? You're going to be waiting in those lines, and that's precious time that you could be spending prepping your family and friends. But also, we're running on a really serious issue when it comes to the supply chain. Some of these things are not going to be here when it comes to tropical activity, so get them now. Order them on Amazon, get them delivered if you don't want to go out. But just prepare, get ready, just in case. And if you have extra stuff at the end of the season, you know what you do with it? You either throw a big party or you donate it. Yeah, donate it, because people can use that stuff. And so you've now done your good on items that hopefully, again, we don't have to use. Gas shortages are always something that comes up. And each time we have a storm, you'll see that one gas station that gouges. There's a line that you can call, a number that you can call, gouging every single time we have a system. And it's illegal.
It is now.
I know, it seems like it's gouging. I paid $4.57 this morning. It's unbelievable. So Hurricane Michael originally was classified as a 4. Notice it started down near the Yucatan Peninsula, came up through the channel, and it intensified over the warmer waters of the northern Gulf. It then was upgraded to a Category 5 as they found that wind was stronger, but the sensors were having a tough time keeping up with that wind. And there it is near Panama City, hitting New Mexico Beach. Some of the peak gusts, Tyndall Air Force Base with a 129 mile per hour gusts. Even the Panama City Beach area, 100 mile per hour gusts. Northwest Florida International at 75. Michael, by the numbers here, tropical storm to landfall. It took 73 hours for this to go from a tropical storm to a Category 5 hurricane. That's not much time. And that's, again, why we say prep now. Don't be scared, just be prepared. Prep because these things can rapidly intensify. 10-plus foot storm surge. The good news here, we don't have to worry about storm surge. The bad news is we do have to worry about flooding. And you all know where the areas are typically prone to flooding in a daily afternoon storm here. And I'll imagine ramping that up with a hurricane that could bring 10-plus inches of rain. Over approximately 2 million without power. And that should be updated. I believe that's now 74 deaths. This was what it looked like afterward. Storm surge pushing everything up. The water is basically just being piled up onto the shore. And so houses level. Those that were actually able to withstand have been built to certain strengths. You've got a standing up in the upper left corner, some homes standing, everything else flattened. Lower right, the construction just couldn't sustain the wind. These are even more impressive and scary images. This is a Category 5 hurricane. This season, well, several forecasts are calling for another above average season, but it seems every season is getting busy. The good news with technology, and we're constantly seeing it updated, is that we're able to see the spins better in a satellite now. We're able to pick out the center of where this hurricane or tropical system is. We're able to see them out in the ocean. That's the problem, though, is that a lot of these are just what we call fish storms. They're out in the Atlantic, they're not doing anything, but they still get a name. And sometimes they may only be named for less than a day. So yes, it's an above average season, but some of these storms really are pressing it when it comes to actually legitimately being a problem. But remember, it only takes one to be a problem for us and only one to make it a busy season here. So we're currently dealing with what we call weak La Nina, and this is when the ocean waters in the Pacific are cooler. El Nino is when we see warmer waters in the Pacific, and the Atlantic cools just a touch, and it is a little more stable in the Atlantic basin. So this year we've kind of reversed that. Thank goodness it's weak, but what we've seen is the Pacific is now, down in the equatorial Pacific, it is getting a little warmer, or I should say a little cooler. So the Atlantic side, just in the flip of everything, the Atlantic side is warming up a little faster, and it's warming up a little bit more. And temperatures in the Caribbean are already running above average for this time of year. So again, we just want to make sure that we're aware it only takes one storm. When it comes to forecasting, this is what I look at. Yeah, sometimes it's just a mess, and sometimes you just don't know. The models might be doing a good job in the beginning, then they start to fail us toward the end. Models might be doing a horrible job in the beginning, and then they really start to improve. By the way, in this general area, consider the Deltona, Daytona Beach, and Ormond Beach metro area. We have approximately 660,000 residents. I'm not sure, you're over 92,000, I believe, here in Deltona now? Yeah, I mean, it's huge. You guys are a very big population. And a lot of new people. You know, the construction, it's going crazy. We have a lot of people. I believe we've got like 1,000 people a week or a month moving into Orlando alone. And so when you've got this population, a lot of people who don't even know or haven't been through a hurricane or tropical system, we want to help them out as well, make sure that they're aware of what could come and that they just need to be prepared. By the way, the villages, they continue to add on, and they should be another 100,000 people sometime in the next 4 or 5 years as they continue to expand. So it's that huge population, and some of them don't have a clue what to expect. Okay, so fight the hype. Some of you who have been with me in the past are going to see a couple of these that look familiar. This is one I will probably never take out. Back in the day, discussing it, I believe I want to say, let's see if I can get the name. Irma. So, and nothing against our governor or governors of past. I'm not going to get into a political discussion. I hate politics. But I was really appalled at some of the things that came out of some politicians' mouths. And Governor Scott was one that I was a little bit put off by when he was talking about Irma and describing it as an unbelievably massive, destructive storm. It's a killer. You will not survive all this storm surge. Irma is bigger, faster, and stronger than Hurricane Andrew. It wasn't. And this storm will be nothing like the state has ever seen. And the way he was saying it, I was scared. I'm a meteorologist. I know what the storm is like. But the way he was saying it scared me. And if I'm scared and I'm trying to pass that information along to you, that's not doing any of us any good. And he's not the only one, trust me. Everybody that hypes tries to do it to scare. Shepard Smith, another example of somebody who went way overboard and lost tons of respect points from those in the journalism industry. This moves 20 miles to the west, and you and everyone you know are dead. Can you imagine hearing that? All of you, because you can't survive it. It's not possible unless you're very, very lucky, and your kids die too. Smith spoke with a Floridian woman who didn't want to leave her home. I'll ask her why she's staying and if she expects us to cover her funeral. This stuff is garbage, and this isn't going to help. And that's why you don't want to tune into people who talk like this. And a lot of journalists that get really hyped and scary, that's not the way to do things. And that's not the way you'll ever see my team approach a storm. It's not how we approach it, because I don't want to see it. I don't want to be scared. I would rather not. I'm my friend Jim Cantori, and I've known Jim for years. But it's funny because if you know Jim is in your town, then there's some issues, because Jim is always put in the heart of what's going to be coming. So remember to leave bread and milk out for Jim Cantori on Hurricane Eve, or he'll leave you without power for a week. In Hurricane Florence, these pictures, these memes always come out. Hurricane Florence, Charleston, South Carolina, 2018. We will rebuild. Hashtag Charleston Strong. And they've got the little plastic chair that just is tipped over. You know, some humor in it, obviously. So here's some quick prep tips before I wrap things up. What you want to do now is assemble your disaster supply kit, and we're going to go over items with my next speakers. Create an item checklist. What do you need? You need at least enough food and water for 5 days per person. You want to make sure you're packing batteries, your NOAA weather radio, flashlights, chargers. Make sure everything's charged up, ready to go. And there's a checklist you can get on the Spectrum News website. You can get checklists if you do a Google search. Deltona, I highly recommend you check out the website, because they have stuff out there that is phenomenal as well, okay? Complete a written plan. You want to determine what kind of risk. Here in Deltona, your risk is going to be from tornadoes, wind, flooding. You're not going to have to worry about storm surge. Where are you going to shelter? This year, it is rumored that a lot of people are going to shelter in shelters instead of going out of town. In the past, a lot of people have hit the interstates and headed to Georgia, Alabama to get in and away. But because of the cost of everything going up, a lot of people this year are considering sheltering locally. And when you're at the shelter, make sure you check if you've got a pet, because a lot of shelters will not accept pets, but there are pet accepting shelters. So just check that, figure out where your shelter is. And again, ignore the hype, because you're just going to work yourself up and you're going to forget something if you're not thinking straight and you're not ready to go. Check up with your insurance agent. This year, we're going through the whole roof thing, and the costs of insurance is shooting up. One thing to keep in mind is that most policies do not have flood insurance. That's a separate policy, and if you want, you can get flood insurance as well. And remember, there's a 30-day waiting period, so you can't see a storm in the forecast, a hurricane coming, and change your policy really quick. You have to wait 30 days for that policy to kick in. So if you're going to make any changes, do it now before we get a forecast that has a storm in it. Strengthen the home, trim up those trees, the palm fronds, etc. Anything that can be picked up and blown around, that is going to become a missile in a strong wind. Secure your doors and windows. Some of you probably have storm windows. What am I trying to think of the word? Shutters, storm shutters. It's been a long day. And then bring any of those outdoor items in. If you're in an evacuation zone, which again, this is more for a coastal community, or if you have friends or family, or if you have property over there, if you're over toward the coast, you just kind of check the evacuation zones, have options to escape, and then plan for your pets. Big one for us too is always to make sure that you're helping your neighbor. That's really big. You know, it really does go a long way when you've got somebody who may not be able to prepare, who doesn't know how to prepare. Help them prepare, cover their evacuation or their shelter options, and then check in with them after the storm. Make sure they're okay, make sure their property is okay. So just to wrap things up here, and I know probably went a little longer than Lee was expecting, but concluding thoughts here, meteorologists need to be aware of a growing population that includes people from all over the world. That is occurring here in Florida, lots of new people. And an established population, those of us who have lived here, I've only lived here 7 years, some of you have been here your entire lives, but maybe you don't remember the storm destruction of the past, or maybe you have never been through it. Just kind of keep that in mind. And although we've been dealing with a pandemic, we should always prepare for tropical and severe weather. It is a prime time for nasty storms with a lot of lightning and heavy rainfall and wind. So it only takes one storm to really cause those issues. Don't get wrapped up in the hype of the local media and social media. Yes, the local media is also at fault for hyping a lot of stuff. Anybody heard of monkeypox already? Okay. So, but don't buy into the hype. And again, if you tune in to my team, we take you through it calmly. Our goal is to make sure you're getting the information, getting it properly, getting it without scare tactics. And don't be scared, just be prepared. All right, so I'm gonna get a quick selfie before I turn things over. Everybody's got a smile. All right, you ready? 3, 2, 1, looking this way. One of those will turn out. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Brian. And, you know, at the end, we're going to get a chance to ask questions. He's going to be hanging around, right, Brian?
Yes.
We're paying you overtime, right?
What's that?
We're paying you overtime. No, this is all volunteer work right here with these wonderful people. So for those of you, I know some of you walked in a little bit after this started. My name is Marixa. I am the vice mayor here at the city of Deltona. The mayor was supposed to be here. Unfortunately, you know, she had a loss in the family, so she couldn't make it. Hopefully, everyone who walked in, you fill out a ticket. We're going to raffle a weather radio, and we're going to be explaining what those radios are. And questions, if you have questions, please fill out a form. And those glasses are a gift from Brian from Channel 13. Those are sunglasses. So the next speaker that we have is one of our own, from our own fire department. And the chief is under a little weather right now, so he's going to be coming up. Chief, is it chief? Assistant chief. I was like, wait a minute, what happened to Chief Schneider? You don't want that title? Okay, so we're going to be calling up Assistant Chief Dean. He is from our fire department, and he will go over the little display that he has here on the table and a lot of information on the do's and the don'ts during a hurricane or tornado or even any kind of bad weather here in the city of Deltona.
Good evening. Because I have a cold, so I'm not gonna take it off. Sorry, I talk loud anyway, so you should be able to hear me. All right, if you can't, just let me know and I'll speak a little bit louder. I'm gonna go over some of the stuff you should have in your kit, but one thing nobody ever mentions that you should have multiple kits. You know, everybody says that you should have a kit just for your home. You should have a kit for work, and you should have one for your car. Because things pop up suddenly, and you never know where you might be. So you should always have multiple kits. Now, that kit in your car, it gets hot. So if you don't park it in the garage, you might have to take it in and out. I know that's a pain, but you need it when you need it. So you should always have multiple kits. And one of the biggest things you should have in your kit is non-perishable stuff. This is not all the stuff that I usually have in my kits, but I didn't know Lee was giving me 2 tables. He said pick a table when I walked in, so I picked a table. So this is what I have. So some non-perishable stuff, and you should start this stuff. I think it's Brian, right? And Brian talked about this, prepare early. So when you leave tonight, when you swing by the store to pick up some milk for in the morning, grab a couple cans of non-perishable stuff with you. Just throw it in one of these bins like this. Everybody has some of these bins, right, for something. Just grab one of these bins and just start storing that stuff in those bins. Don't forget about your pets. Sometimes we forget about our pets. Don't forget your pets. Get you some pet food, too. Make sure you have stuff for your pets. Can openers. Any military people in here that were once military, you guys know about the old, there you go. Now they have these kinds. But sometimes if you grab one of these, make sure you have an opener, because not all the time they have these little flip tops on them. And You're gonna have to buy Peter Pan because I think Jif just had a recall, right? So you can't buy Jif right now. So you gotta buy Peter Pan peanut butter. Bleach is important, not for cleaning purposes. That's what we usually use it for, but it's for sanitizing. Water, when the water is bad, you put a little cap full in there. That'll help sanitize the water. Fire extinguishers, important. This doesn't look like a normal fire extinguisher, but that's what this is. This will put out fire as well. Flashlights, good thing to have. Extra batteries. Now with that, and I'm guilty of it as well, you buy batteries and you buy them in bulk and you don't change them out and you sit on the shelf because we're all prepared for the storm and the storm never comes. So 5 years down the road when you go in the garage, those batteries are still in that kit and they're corroded or they're out of date, and when you need them, they don't work. So make sure with these kits you go through them on an annual basis and kind of look at that stuff, make sure the corrosion isn't there, make sure the dates. Also on these cans, look at the dates as well. And I believe Brian said this earlier, if you don't use it, donate it or have a big party. There's a lot of shelter up here. They have the children's home. They can always use it up there. So just take it up there and drop it off. Matches. But now if you have matches, you must have a bag to keep them in because if they get wet, they're not going to function. So have a little bag that you can keep your matches in. First aid kit. You can get these at Walmart. Just something to have a little first aid kit. This is a big one. Bug spray. Because if we have flooding, what comes with flooding? Mosquitoes and bugs. Big thing here to have. Also, a lot of times we don't think about sunscreen. Trees down, you're out trying to cut. All of our guys out trying to get their yard cleaned up, picking up debris. Get some sunscreen as well. Tarps are big. Chief will probably beat me down if you heard me say this, but we do tarp homes sometimes for citizens, usually our elderly citizens. We will come out and tarp them. You probably wouldn't want me to say that, but hey, here's what it is. Garbage bags, trash. Make sure you have some garbage bags. And if I missed anything, we have lots of guys up here that has all these lists in it. Other things that that's not in your basic kit that you should think about is prescription drugs. A lot of people on prescription drugs, they forget about that kind of stuff in the heat of the moment. Look at my list real quick. Another shortage thing, formula for kids. I think he mentioned it earlier as well, chargers. Now, you say, well, we don't have electricity. They have those charging bricks. Charge those up, keep those charged up. They last a long time after they've been charged. So buy a couple of them, keep them charged up. That way you'll have something to charge your phones with. Because you may not have electricity, so chargers may not work. So think about getting those charging bricks. Masks. We should all be used to masks by now for dust. All kind of stuff that's flying around in the air, so we should get some masks. Cash. You should have cash at hand. If you don't have cash, credit card machines, debit machines might not work. Gas. Fill up gas cans. But where should we not keep the gas cans? In the house or in the garage, which leads me right into the next point. When we use our generators, don't put them in the garage. And I think Carl may touch on that a little bit later. Don't put those in the garage. Keep those at least probably 10 to 20 feet away from the house. Don't put them there where stuff can exhaust into the house. So think about those types of things. If you have any questions, I'm right down here on Providence Boulevard. You can stop by anytime you want. My name is Dean. Everybody knows me. So just stop in and say, hey, Dean was at the forum and he said I could stop and ask questions. My office is right downstairs so that you can send them, come my way.
I'll give you his number.
You don't supposed to say that.
We have great fire department here, and you know they don't publicize these things, but during emergencies, if you call them, they're out there helping remove, you know, items that could be dangerous to you. He'll probably charge you, but the other guys, they won't charge you. No, they're really all great guys. They have gone out and helped, you know, people who have not been able to clear their trees that have fell down and stuff like that. So write down your questions so that you leave here with all answers. The reason why we have these events is because we want to make sure that everybody is safe during the hurricanes. I've been here 23 years. We have not, I think, really been hit with a hurricane here. Am I right, Brian? Like in the city of Deltona, but we've come very close. Oh, Charlie. I wanted to forget Charlie. Yes. No, Jeannie was before me, I think. Yeah, but I missed it, thank God. But you know, we were just talking upstairs about one of the tornadoes, and I followed this one to the minute that came through Sanford, and then it went into Lake Monroe, and then it went back to I-4, and then it was coming down I-4, and I live right near exit 111, and my weather radio was on. I mean, it was nonstop. In the safest room I can find, I fit my 3 little dogs, my grandson, my mom in a wheelchair, and that's where we stood with pillows until this thing just went down Doyle and then went to 415. But I think that's the closest I've ever been to a tornado here in the city of Deltona. But it's still good to follow all the instructions and directions to keep safe, right? And hopefully all of you, probably, or whoever wins these radios, this will be your savings. And you have to, leave them on because they will save your life. I've had mine for 20 years, the same one. They're really good weather radios. For those of you who are not, don't win one, they sell them in Walmart. But I tell you, I got them for $3 less in Amazon. So, and these are the ones that are recommended by the fire department. So please, if you don't have one, please make sure you get one for your home. You don't even know they're there unless something is coming. So our next speaker is from another great department here in the city of Deltona, one of our finest, from the Volusia Sheriff's Office. And this will be a great chance for you guys who have not met him to meet him tonight. I'm pretty sure some of you met our previous captain, Captain Marino, but now we have Captain McDaniels, who's going to give you some in and do's and don'ts during the hurricane.
Thank you very much. As the Vice Mayor said, thank you. My name is Captain Kyle McDaniel. I was assigned to District 4, which is Deltona, in December of last year. I'm not new to this city. I've been in this city for a good portion of my career as a deputy, as a patrol sergeant, as a CID sergeant, as a district lieutenant. So I'm new to the city, or I'm not new to the city. I've spent many storms in the district office, sleeping in my office. So I'm not new to storms in the city as well. I'll go over a brief overview of what you can expect from the Sheriff's Office as it relates to the city of Deltona. Currently, the city of Deltona contracts 84 deputies. So during a storm, when the EOC is activated, we will staff the EOC, which is Emergency Operations Center here in Deltona. All 84 deputies will be required to report to work. So unfortunately, they have to leave their families, they leave their houses. We will double them up on 12-hour shifts. So they will work almost 24 deputies per a 12-hour shift. They normally work from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and when they get off, they have to come to the district and sleep. So we have the correct number of resources to handle anything that may come up. The EOC and the county is responsible during natural disasters. The city is responsible for issuing curfews. We, as the Chief Law Enforcement Office of the county, will enforce said curfews. One of the major things that I want to bring up tonight is after the storm. This is what we see. When we have natural disasters, time and time again, with natural disasters comes the opportunity for criminals to prey on you. So with that being said, we have a natural disaster, you have trees that fall on your house, people are going to start knocking on your doors to do your work. Insist on seeing insurance cards, workman's comp, because anything that happens on your property is you're liable for. We saw it 2 years ago in DeLand. Tornadoes came through. We had unlicensed contractors come. They take money, and they never see them again. So that's, I mean, in a nutshell, we have the school board is responsible for all shelters. The county has 15 shelters countywide, 2 of which are in the city of Deltona. Heritage Middle School, Galaxy Middle School, both are pet friendly. It is up to the county and the school board to determine whether there's a need for those shelters to be open. You can go to the county's website or the school board's website. Shelters also, when they're open, the news is a good resource who tells you when shelters are opening. Be familiar with where these shelters are. There are shelters in Orange City, there are 4 in DeLand. So pick which one fits your needs best. That is pretty much what the sheriff's office's footprint is during natural disasters and hurricanes. So I'll be more than happy to answer questions during the allotted time. So, thank you.
Thank you, Captain. So the other speaker that we have is from the Deltona building office here in this building right here. His name is Carl Lynch, and we're gonna ask him to come up and give us a little information on the city's part, on what the city is going to be here to help. And here where you guys are sitting right now, this becomes an emergency room here. This is where we set up. And we have our fire department, emergency group. They sometimes come here, and they're here 24/7 as long as the weather is really bad out there. I believe we have a shower upstairs, right, where they literally stay here all the time, taking calls and stuff like that. This is why you see all these little boxes. That's where the equipment gets, phones and everything gets hooked up. So I don't want to steal your thunder. I know you're going to talk about that, Carl. So, Carl?
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you all being here tonight. I'm Carl Lynch, the building official for the city at this time. And by the way, as Marissa said, we do have a shower upstairs, but we do that separately. Okay, that's not a group thing, right? Okay. Preparing the home for a hurricane and what you can do after a hurricane strikes. We're going to cover some of these finer points. Of course, before the storm, plywood, like it says, is a hot commodity. You wouldn't believe how many builders we have report missing plywood during these times, okay, on job sites that they're missing. But obviously, this is one of the things you may want to consider having in your arsenal for being prepared for the hurricanes. I know back in '04, for the hurricanes, I got so good at boarding up my home, I could do it during halftime. So it was on and off in no time. But you want to test run your generators if you have a generator monthly with a load to ensure proper working order. Does anybody understand what that means? Can anybody tell me what that means with the load? Operate your generator with a load. What you want to do is you want to plug something into it. and actually make sure it's actually producing power, because sometimes it may run, but it's not actually producing power. So make sure when you test it, you actually plug something into it and try it out, okay? You want to board up your windows as much as you can, or close your storm shutters. Trim the trees and shrubs around your home. Clear loose and clogged downspouts and rain gutters. Take detailed photos and videos of home property and contents, internal and external, and store that in a safe place. Because for your insurance company, you know, you're going to want to make sure that you can prove that, okay, I did have this, I did have that, okay? One of the things that Brian mentioned and Dean mentioned, and you know, the hype, okay? And don't let the hype get hold of you. And a lot of people, like for instance, the thing about boarding up your windows and things of that nature, okay? Does anyone in here ever remember hearing of someone getting skewered by a branch, you know, jetting through the window and just skewering them? Okay? I've never heard that happen. Have you guys? No. Okay. And do you all know what the #1 cause of death is during a hurricane? Anybody? Well, you might think so, okay? And there's a lot of things that happen like that, unfortunately, but it's drowning, actually. Okay, drowning is the #1 cause of death. So, you know, getting skewered by a branch through a window is not going to happen. It's about as likely to happen as you winning the lottery. So, you know, don't let that scare you. And if you have a couple windows that you didn't get to, it's not going to be the end of the world. Don't be in that room. Try not to be in that room, okay? Again, just try not to let the hype get you, okay? Before the storm, you want to secure and move all items outside your home: grill, hanging plants, potted plants, tie down small, young trees to prevent uprooting. Turn off propane tanks, fill the bathtub and other large containers with water for sanitary purposes, cleaning, flushing toilets, things of that nature, because you might not have water during this time. So you need to kind of be prepared to have at least a little water to flush your toilets, maybe a little cleanup or whatever. Have a fire extinguisher readily available in the case of a fire. You'll want to have basic tools around: a hammer, screwdriver. Duct tape is always a fantastic thing to have around. Okay. Another thing that I've heard of people doing too, especially people with swimming pools, you know, they'll go ahead and take lawn furniture a lot of times and just throw it in the pool. Very quick way of getting something kind of put away to where it's not going to get disturbed and turned into a missile during a storm. Okay. During the storm, you want to turn the refrigerator and freezer to their coldest setting and keep the doors closed as much as you possibly can. And I can guarantee you that when the power's out, that light is not going to turn on, so you don't need to check it, okay? And, you know, that's one of the things about electricity itself that, you know, we all take it so much for granted, and I do this myself. When the power's out, I still walk into a room and hit the switch and expect the light to come on, you know? And it's like, oh, yeah, the power's out, okay? But anyway, try to keep those doors closed to keep that cold as long as possible. Avoid using the phone except for emergencies. Stay indoors during the storm and away from windows and glass doors. Close all interior doors. Keep curtains and blinds closed, and take refuge in a small interior room, closet, or hallway on the lowest level of your home. Keep in mind that, you know, the more walls you have between yourself and the storm is probably the safest bet, okay? After the storm, you want to watch out for safety hazards: loose boards, slippery floors, broken glass, even things that might be leaning up against your entry door or something along those lines. You know, just like traveling with something in the back of your car, sometimes these objects shift and can actually fall on you as you open something. So be careful of that. Carefully check for damage to the roof, foundation, and chimney. If the building looks unstable, do not enter it. Use a stick or other tool to sift through the debris. You don't know what's in that debris. There could be broken glass in there that may cut you. There may be chemicals in there that may infect you, any of a number of things. So that's why they recommend go ahead and use a stick or something along those lines. Open cabinets cautiously because objects may fall off the shelves. If you smell natural gas, leave the structure and contact your local gas utility as soon as possible. Use a battery-powered flashlight to inspect the structure. Do not use oil or gas lanterns or candles inside the structure. See above. Right? Okay, after the storm, if structural damage is present, you want to turn off all the utilities. Do not use electrical appliances that have been wet or damaged until checked by a professional. Check with local authorities or have well water tested before using any water. Okay? Until cleared with the authorities or tested, all water should be boiled for 1 minute at a rolling boil to disinfect it before drinking. Avoid using any toilets until you've checked for sewage or water line damage. If you suspect damage, call a plumber. And of course, what they're talking about there is, you may have broken lines outside your home and you go ahead and use the restroom and then everybody's going to see your business. So you kind of want to avoid that as much as possible. I'll never forget the Thanksgiving we got a new drainage field in the front yard. That was a great Thanksgiving. Anyhow, avoid using any toilets. Avoid using any toilets until you've checked for sewage or water line damage. Oh, I already covered that one, sorry. Service damaged sewage systems as soon as possible as they present serious health hazards. I'm told that our plumbing inspectors actually save the world on a daily basis. And dysentery is a horrible thing. So I can kind of believe them. I can kind of believe them. Another thing after the storm is check your smoke and carbon monoxide detectors to ensure that they're functioning properly. If you have any damage in your home, contact your insurance company to start a claim and photograph and document any damage. Again, for those insurance purposes, to make sure that you're on the same page with your insurance company and they can go ahead and make sure that you get coverage for everything that you need coverage for. Okay.
When it gets really serious in the city of Deltona and they ask you to evacuate, if you live in a home that you know that you have to evacuate, please follow the instructions. Once it gets really bad, these guys are not going out, right? So because of your safety, but also their safety, if you have to evacuate, then leave. You can call as much as you want. They're not going out, okay? Can they still register with the sheriff's department? I know we used to do it at one time.
Register for what?
Like for checking during the hurricane and stuff like that.
You can do house watches afterwards. I'm not sure if during. I'm sure if you have someone with special needs.
Right, or if your relative, they want to call the sheriff's department or the fire department to go check on you and stuff like that. We do not, here in Deltona, we have shelters. We do not have shelters with hookups for medical equipment. So please find out which is the nearest one to you. If you have a family member that has to be hooked up to medical equipment, electric. The easement behind your house, I know that Duke Energy went around cleaning up. If you still see trees, if you have electrical wires, mines are on the ground, but there's still some houses that have it out. If you have trees, you can call Duke Energy and they will come and they will trim them free of charge. All right? I'm just going real quickly through the list so that I don't leave anything out. And then, just know your house. Look at your house and get used to your house and what's the most safest place for you and your family and your animals. So now we're going to do raffle. And if you were here at one of the other events and you already have a weather radio, please don't put a ticket in. Bessie, I'm going to go to your house and check and see if you have one already. So we're going to let the captain come and pick one. And caught him at the wrong time.
Just one, right? Yeah.
Just one. So we have 4 weather radios that were donated.
Say let the other 3 pick the other 3 tickets.
Yes.
That's perfect. Would you like to read it?
No, you can read it.
Okay. Deb Barrett. Yay. Come on down.
If anybody wants to take a picture of this, again, Walmart has them. very few.
Dean, you're next.
I mean, I had to go to 3 Walmarts, and then finally I said, you know what, let me go through Amazon. I should have gone there first, it's $3 cheaper. But Midland is the radio that you have to buy.
Gisela? 269 is the last 3 digits.
Carl, you're next. Thank you, Dean.
You're welcome, Lee.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome, ma'am.
Jose
Oh, Matias.
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 Okay.
Okay, Brian. You get the honors, you get the last one.
See if I just hold me up. Yeah. I don't have my glasses on.
Mary Ellen.
Ah.
You notice that we have men pick up the tickets, but who had to read the name? The woman. I'm
You
telling you.
speak much better.
Good luck with it. Okay? We want to thank everyone, unless you have any other questions. Again, we're here. We have a website that you can look into. The Sheriff's Department, the Fire Department also has their website. If you feel during these bad weathers that you need to reach out to us, please do so. My name is, again, Maritza, and I am in the city website. You can reach out to me with any questions you have, and we will direct you to the proper department.
You know, this will be rebroadcast on the TV station starting next week.
So this event will be on TV, on Deltona TV, starting next week. So if you want to go back to listen to the gentleman again explain their department's responsibility and stuff, you can go on Deltona TV and watch it, or you can call each one of them on their own cell phone. And look at Brian. No, but thank you everyone for coming out. We're so glad to see you. Stay safe. You know, and we're right around the corner from the start of the hurricane season. So please stay safe. Make sure your house is safe. Okay?
See you in the morning? Yeah. Thank you, Maritza.
Thank you, Lee, and thank you, staff, Lee staff, for staying with us tonight.